Hi class. Now that you have turned in sections 2 and 3 of the complete research paper, you are going to start putting it all together to be turned in this week. The thesis revision is one of the things you must revise. You had a thesis for Baud's character analysis, section 1, where you described Baud using one adjective. Then for sections 2 and 3, you added a character who nurtures Baud's adjective and a character who harms or hinders Baud's adjective. Well, that first thesis is not going to hold up with all 3 sections because now it's one big paper. So in your modules, there is a thesis revision page for you to use to help you. The first example, you want to make sure that you include all 3 parts. So here is an example. By virtue of Silas, from the time Nobody Owens is a baby to the time he is a preteen, Baud is a courageous individual despite being held back by Mr. Owens. So here is section 1, Baud is courageous. But then they added Silas as being the positive influence in his courage, and Mr. Owens being the negative influence in his courage. But they're all 3 included in the thesis. Here's another one. Although nobody has some obstacles with the Jacks, he is able to grow in curiosity with the help of the Owens. In this example, curious Baud, although this should be an adjective, the negative is Jack, or Jack the man, or the Jacks, and the positive is the Owens. Whoever you choose for the negative or positive influence, it doesn't matter, as long as you have all 3 in one sentence at the end of paragraph 1. You want to make sure you revise your thesis. If you look at the student sample, the student samples had to do 4 sections. They had to do sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. You are only doing 3 sections. So when you use the student sample or review it, don't worry about section 4. You are not responsible for section 4. I took that out. So only pay attention to the way they organize their thesis with Baud's adjective and the other 2 characters. So if I go to my modules and I look for the student sample for the whole essay, I will see the revised thesis. Despite obstructive forces like Scarlett Amber Perkins, Nobody Owens grows up to be somebody clever who learns to use his wits to navigate his complicated existence in the world of the dead and the living with the support of Miss Lupescu. Forget this. This is the new character for section 4, and you are not doing section 4. So up until this point, from here to here, that is her thesis. She covers Baud being clever, the adjective, the negative force, Scarlett, and the positive force, Miss Lupescu. If I go to the second sample, student sample, same thing. Although his family's murderer is still loose, Baud willingly puts his life on the line for others just to make them happy. That's not her thesis. Her thesis is this. Despite Scarlett's negative influence, Nobody Owens is inspiringly altruistic towards those around him with the assistance of Liza. Again, forget Lilith, because Lilith does not exist in the novel and is a made-up character. You are not doing section 4. So she has Nobody Owens is altruistic, her adjective. negative Scarlett, positive Liza. And now, with those two, the order of the paper. Now, the order or organization of the paper is going to be all together. If you look at her paper, there are no breaks. There are no separate sections. It's one giant paper. Her order is going to be like her thesis. It's going to start with section 1 always, introducing Bod and his trait. Then it's going to be the negative character, Scarlett, followed by the positive character, or ending with the positive character, Miss Lupescu. And what she is saying by that order, so it would be section 1, section 3, section 2. What she's saying in that order is that the positive character has more of an influence than the negative character. Same with the other student. She puts the order sections 1, 3, 2. Starts with section 1. Everybody has to start with section 1. The 4 paragraphs about Bod being a certain adjective. And then she moves into the negative influence of Scarlett and ends with Liza. You have to make sure your transitions make sense in that order, if that's how you want to put the order. You can have the order in a different way if you'd like, but section 1 has to be first. And it has to make sense. If you end with the negative character, you're going to sound like the negative character has most influence. I don't know. You need to add a conclusion as well. You must have a conclusion for your entire paper. You haven't written one yet. You wrote an introduction with body paragraphs in section 1. You wrote 3 body paragraphs for section 2 and 3 body paragraphs for section 3. Now you need to add the last paragraph of conclusion that wraps it all up. Your paper should end up minimum 5 to the bottom pages. These students ended up with 10. She has 10 pages of writing. Actually, she has 11. And this student has also 11 pages of writing. Now remember, they did an extra section, so their papers were longer. Yours has to be 5 pages to the bottom minimum. Most of you should be reaching 6, maybe even 7 pages. If you look at their works cited page, it's part of the paper. So this is page 11. Their works cited page is 12. It's not separate and it does not have this missing. It's part of the paper. Also, I keep telling you over and over again to look at the way they do their works cited pages. Their works cited pages are perfect. The only one that's different is the second person's doesn't have the review correct. This one has the review correct. She has all of this correct. It's scholarly. I can tell it's scholarly because of the volume, issue, month, pages, database in italics, URL or DOI number, and period, and the access date, the date she read it. Month, day, year. Or, sorry, day, month, year. This one, also a scholarly article. Volume, issue, date, pages, database, where she got the article, URL, and access date at the end. Accessed day, month, year, period. She has the novel. She has the review. She used her handbook. The handbook shows you that how to do a review. Hers is perfect. And then she has an extra scholarly work. 1, 2, 3 scholarly, the novel, and the review, which is what you must have to pass this paper. If you do not have scholarly works, if you do not have a review, if yours are just websites or other things I do not allow, you're not passing this paper. It doesn't matter what your paper says. The research has to be there. So, alphabetical, 1-inch margins, 1 inch, 1 inch, sticking out, indented, double spaced, with all the proper information and punctuation. Use the student samples. I keep stressing that, and your handbook. If you have any questions or need help, inbox me and ask for help. That is what I'm here for. It is due with everything that you have to revise and edit and turn it all together. So make sure you're using the sources that you have in order to be successful.